Hello, everyone. So, I had quite a few people send me the same link, actually, to a bit of Transformer news that I guess people wanted to hear me talk about. So, let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm not one to look a gift content horse in the mouth. So, the news in question is a bunch of Transformers titanium design sketches straight from the man himself, Don Figueroa, who is a legendary Transformers artist and concept designer. He did the concepts for quite a few titanium figures that didn't come out, and he was nice enough to start sharing them online. So let's quickly take a look. I don't expect this to go too long because we've talked about these in the past, but I think it's worth revisiting now that we've seen them in color and seen what they were supposed to be. And we start with Arcee. All of these kind of, all every time we try to talk about design concept and Transformers these days, I think it always goes back to Arcee at some point. But as you can see, it was supposed to be a pretty clean take on G1 Arcee, at least in the robot mode. She does have that familiar backpack, those shoulder pieces, but for the most part, she's actually pretty streamlined. A little bit tall, a little bit thin, in the proportions, but for the most part, fine. And she's not. It's nice to see that it was planned for her to be in like totally G1 colors. So the first time Hasbro released an Arcee was in animated, and they chickened out on making her actually pink. And I should say actually Energon, I think was the first Arcee, and even then, because they didn't want to just like that Arcee in Energon was primarily white with little bits of dark pink, and then in animated they went straight up like burgundy with her colors. Like she was not straight or magenta, I should say. She wasn't just like a straight up G1 pink or cartoon accurate pink of any kind, because they're so scared of releasing a boy's toy in pink, even if it was designed for collectors. So they wanted to go. So the titanium was apparently planned to have a G1 accurate pink and white color scheme, unmistakably G1 RC. Um, we also got how she was supposed to transform, and it's kind of similar to the Thrilling 30 figure. It wasn't actually uncommon for elements of unused designs in titanium to leak into mainline stuff. We're going to talk about that a little bit when we get to another character on this video, but it's pretty standard. The arms and legs transform basically the same as that original figure did. The whole head folding up into like the center part of her chest, that's a little bit of a different thing. I guess that explains why her head was a little bit small in the concept. But yeah, you can see like it was actually an effort to put more of her actual body into the transformation. And yeah, like it is kind of similar to what we eventually got as our first G1 RC toy. So this is the concept art. Now that we kind of see where the color is supposed to go and how the toy is supposed to function, now we can go back and look at the prototype that we've seen before. Um, Dem hips. So I'm starting to believe that it is not a matter of design when it came to titanium. I think it is a matter of I'm not sure the Micro Machines team in Galoob had the capacity and the capability to produce transformer components and engineering the way that it's designed. Uh, it feels like they didn't quite understand how to capture that design in physical form, because concept artists often have their designs tweaked before they're released because they design it how it would be perfectly done, and then they have to account for toy size, space, part count, etc., so a lot of it gets changed. But this one isn't. You can see all the parts are still there, they're just not shaped the right way. And in fact, like where most redos of a toy from concept to physical prototype try to shave off the budget, I think they added some because those hips are definitely more expensive than the previous ones. I never thought on this channel I would ever have to describe expensive hips, but here we are. So yeah, it's not the best iteration, is it? It's not the best reimagining. but they tried. They tried. All right, who's next? How about Shockwave? This one was interesting to me because Shockwave did do some interesting things in its titanium design that would have changed up the look of the figure, and I was really wondering how they would do that. And you can see here what I mean. The forearms actually have the shells that would become the barrel of his gun mode, which is in G1 traditionally gray. Now, safety laws in the US were a thing at the time. They would have had to make it like visually distinct from a real gun somehow, because this was planned to have his original blaster mode, albeit, modified. So the idea here was these translucent bright orange parts that folded off of his arms in order to form the cannon. And there is a design mark in here that has like if you wanted to match alternate purple. Uh, I know it's a little bit hard to see on mine because I'm trying to keep this in like a uniform size. But it is interesting to see like what they were planning to do with the deco, and get around that orange cap law that U.S. gun toys have. Transformation, nothing too complicated here. It's kind of G1 Shockwave, just the legs are basically simplified. There doesn't seem to be much transformation in the legs at all, other than just pushing them in. All the transformation seems to happen in the upper arms, and actually just the upper arms. Now that I look at it, Now, to be fair, if you've ever played with a G1 Shockwave, it's not all that different. There's a battery pack to fold up onto his back, yes, and the legs have to come together to form the gun handle. But beyond that, like the upper torso pretty much transforms the same way this one does. I guess at the time, how would you do it any differently? This one, yeah, this would have been weird. It would have been a little bit weird, but it seems like it would have been fine. It would have been a tiny little laser gun he turned into. But yeah, like it looks like that would have been a thing. And it's interesting to me that the concept here was going to throw orange into his color scheme for that safety cap color. But when you think about this, when they went back and redid Legends Shockwave for the G2 Bruticus set, they actually did throw that orange back in, which is G2. It's Action Master accurate. So it's interesting to me that the orange in Shockwave keeps coming back up historically, you know. And then we take a look at the actual physical proto. They didn't get the translucent plastic memo, and there's very little translucent plastic on titanium. So I guess silver lining to every cloud, right? But more, besides that, everything else seems to have come together reasonably well. I mean, obviously the leg forming what I guess would be like the like that stock part of the back of the gun. Like obviously that could have been done a little bit cleaner because it's obviously just his legs turned on their side. But and there's no way to fold the gun hand in or anything. So there's nothing covering the fact that it's just his hand sticking out of the barrel. So it's not the best iteration it could have been. Luckily, because it would have been like a super tiny gun, I think most people would have kept it in robot mode. The robot mode actually looks really, really nice. Like it's a nice, properly wide, bulky Shockwave. He looks really, really good for the time. For a titanium figure, especially, he looks good. So that one could have been worse. Then we got Bumblebee, and I think Bumblebee was my favorite one to see the deco on just because they looked like they were going to do so much with the panel lines in this one and got so many of those Cybertron details painted over. It would have been the first time we got a spaceship Bumblebee that kind of matched his more than meets the eye design in any way. And yeah, I actually really, really liked this. I felt like it had like the round aesthetic the Bumblebee's supposed to have. It looks really powerful. Of course it does. Because it's kind of war within design. And I'm really happy that we actually got to see this in full color, just because like it's probably the one I was most interested in when I heard about the titanium figures that didn't come out. Have you seen the prototype lately? Because prototype changed things. So vehicle mode, we actually got vehicle mode images of this one, which is nice to see. Uh, it's not like the perfectly smooth flying saucer mode that he had, but I like it for what it is. It's a cool looking little space shuttle. I do like it for that. I think that's the part I missed out on the most. I like interesting spaceship designs like this. It looks like Samus's gunship. Let's put it that way. Like if crossovers ever did like Transformers cross Metroid, this is the design. This is the design you go back and use. So with this knowledge, let's actually take a look at what the prototype looked like. There's changes. There are unfortunate changes. The actual like wing components on the forearms have been shrunken considerably. So this would have had more like a stealth jet look rather than like the spaceship flying saucer look that the original design went for. He looks a little bit puffier in the legs than the original one did. What and obviously like the back the panel behind his head way larger. What gets me the most is how low the shoulders sit now. There's few things that bug me more on a Transformer design than when the shoulders are sitting too low for the frame. And it just makes it look like his head is just like stretched up. I hate that. I like it's one of my bigger pet peeves design wise for a Transformer design. So it's really unfortunate that they intentionally added it in, probably for the sake of simplifying the transformation. I'm going to assume that anyway, because like if the shoulders had to be that low in order for the wings to form and be the correct level, then that means they don't have. Then setting them that low to begin with means they don't have to come up with like a ratcheted system in the shoulders in order to get them in the right spot. Sucks. So maybe it's a good thing this one didn't come out. Maybe it's a good thing. And maybe now we have like someone does now we have like proper design sketches of what they're supposed to look like. Third parties, someone get on that. I want this. I want it. I really want who would do it? Mastermind would do it. Mastermind Creations would absolutely do this War Within Bumblebee design, and then like for a convention exclusive, they'd retool it into like a cheeky transforming Samus. And you know they would. You know they would. Like you think of like the big shoulders she has in her suit. Like again, crossovers. Do something. Call Nintendo now. I want it. So we already knew about these figures in the past, of course, because the prototype shots have been out there for years. Now, Titanium, while we're at it, Titanium does have just a ton of canceled figures, especially in the 3-inch lineup. You can find a listing on TF Wiki. Most all of them seem like they were going to be repaints of existing ones. Like literally, like it's hard to really discern any of them as new molds. Even like there's one listing for Grimlock, and they did Grimlock before, so I could absolutely see it just being a G2 release. The only one we actually ever got to see of the unreleased 3 inches was this Soundwave, which is kind of weird when you realize not only did Titanium get re-released several times, so they had the option of packing in this little Soundwave just so they wouldn't waste the mold, but it's a really popular character and not a bad little rendition of Soundwave at that size. It's surprising that this found absolutely no way of seeing release, considering it's such a popular character, even if it's from an unpopular toy line. Beyond this, we do. I mean, there's other like 6-inch ones that didn't come out, but it was mostly repaints. Primal Prime was supposed to come out, for instance. That never happened. Sound Blaster as well. Thank God that toy never got reused. The one that we have missing from our artwork here, and the one that I think is the biggest loss, is Cosmos. This one looks really good. Like the proportions are actually fine. He looks nice and beefy. Cosmos is like a really hefty design in the first place. So like and that's something that none of the modern Cosmos toys have actually captured correctly. They've all been kind of thinned down and like I kind of want the big squat version of Cosmos. Like I kind of want the cartoon accurate like hulking Cosmos. This is as close as we would have gotten. Um, I really wanted to see like a design sheet for this, so hopefully Don drags it up. But we know that they tried to do this in titanium and it got canceled. They were going to repurpose the design for classics, and then classics got cut down to just 2 waves. Cosmos was the line killer for a while. Like if they were planning a Cosmos toy, the line was going to get canceled. Eventually, we got a Cosmos at the original Legends class that reused a little bit of the engineering of this one, at least like the layout of where everything went. But it wasn't until was it like Generations? It wasn't until like the Thrilling 30 versions of Legends class until we actually got to see design elements of this Cosmos, especially in the vehicle mode, actually in toy form. And like I said, that is a very slimmed down Cosmos. Rumor is we've got one coming out in Walmart's Velocitron line, and I am hoping that it is not just an Origins Bumblebee retool. I get the feeling that it might be, but in the event that it is not, I'm hoping something like this is in the works again, because I feel like of all the canceled titaniums, this is where we lost something really cool. An actual attempt to not only make this beefy looking Cosmos the way he was originally, but also just a really cool redo of the character design in general. So that is our look today at canceled titanium stuff and the artwork that tells us just what we missed out on. And depending on your opinion on titanium, might have been a good or bad thing. It might have been the wave that redeemed the toy line and actually saved it, or let's be honest, probably a lot more of the same, because no matter how good the designs are, if the engineering team just isn't up to the challenge, it's just not gonna work, is it?
Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.